A story that makes you ponder about trust and betrayal in the family. Read to the end and share your thoughts in the comments. Alex Thompson straightened his tie in the hallway mirror. His reflection showed a man who had it all: a thriving financial firm, a stunning wife, and two sons who meant the world to him. At 35, he'd built an empire from scratch, rising from the foster care system to become one of New York's most formidable finance executives. His reputation rested on one core rule: never forgive those who betray you. "Dad, you haven't said goodbye to baby Noah yet," Ethan called from the living room, his 6-year-old voice interrupting Alex's morning routine. Alex smiled, walking over to where his newborn son lay in the portable crib. 3 months old, Noah had Emily's golden blonde hair, but Alex's deep blue eyes, or so he believed. Alex had been pulling 18-hour days lately, gearing up for the Henderson deal, a multi-million-dollar agreement that would solidify his company's standing. "Watch over your little brother while I'm gone, kiddo." Alex ruffled Ethan's dark brown hair. The boy was sharp as a tack, already reading at a 4th-grade level. Emily Thompson emerged from the kitchen, her blonde hair perfectly styled despite the early hour. At 28, she retained the captivating beauty that had caught Alex's eye 7 years ago when she was a secretary at his first firm. Now, she embodied the ideal executive's wife, hosting cocktail parties and charity events with effortless grace. "Your mom called," Emily said, handing Alex his coffee. "She wants to watch Noah today so I can attend the school PTA meeting." Alex paused. Margaret Hayes. Emily's mother was a retired teacher who'd raised Emily alone after her father's death. A stern woman with traditional values, she'd initially disapproved of Alex's rough upbringing, but had warmed to him over time. "You trust her with a newborn?" Alex asked, though he knew the answer. Margaret had practically raised Ethan in his early years while both Alex and Emily built their careers. "She raised me, didn't she?" Emily laughed, but Alex caught a flicker of unease in her eyes, a sign of anxiety he'd honed to spot during intense negotiations, like predicting a stock market crash. Ethan piped up from the sofa. "You can trust her, Dad. Grandma Margaret knows everything about kids." Ethan's tone made Alex study him closer. The kid had a maturity beyond his years, often noticing details adults missed. But Alex was already late for his meeting. "Call me if anything comes up." Alex kissed Emily goodbye, noting how she tilted her cheek slightly to avoid a full lip contact. As he drove to his downtown office amid Manhattan's notorious traffic, Alex couldn't shake the nagging feeling something was off. Emily had been distant lately, citing fatigue from the new baby. But Alex had seen genuine exhaustion in Noah's first weeks. This felt different. She seemed guilty, like hiding a financial scandal brewing under the surface. His phone buzzed with a text from Mike Larson, the investigator he kept on retainer for deal research. "Need to discuss Henderson findings. Lunch." Alex's instincts, sharpened by cutthroat negotiations, screamed trouble. But he had a deal to close first. The Henderson deal involved a tech company accused of faulty software causing massive data losses. Alex represented the harmed investors, and today he'd dismantle the opposition's key witness, an auditor paid to cover it up. In the boardroom, Alex was in his element. Cool, strategic, systematic. He broke down the testimony piece by piece, exposing inconsistencies and lies until the man crumbled, admitting the bribes. "Ladies and gentlemen," Alex's voice carried the confidence of a habitual winner. "Their entire argument hinges on fabricated testimony. I move for immediate closure." As the board approved, Alex felt the familiar adrenaline rush. But even as he shook hands with grateful investors, his mind drifted back to Emily's uneasy glance that morning. The call came at 2:47 p.m., right as Alex reviewed deal documents. Emily's voice was high-pitched, frantic. "Alex, get to Mount Sinai Children's Hospital now. It's Noah." Alex's blood ran cold. "What happened?" I picked him up from Mom's and something was wrong. His face. Oh God, Alex, just come." Alex dropped everything, racing through New York traffic with a recklessness that would terrify him on any other day. Mount Sinai Children's Hospital loomed like a grim symbol of his deepest fears. He found Emily in the ER waiting area, her usual poise shattered. Mascara streaked her cheeks, her hands trembling around a coffee cup. "Where is he?" Alex demanded. "They took him for tests." "Alex, I'm so sorry. I should have checked sooner." "When I got to Mom's, she said he'd been sleeping for hours, but when I looked..." Emily's voice broke. His face was bruised and swollen around the mouth and nose. A chill shot down Alex's spine. From his work on medical lawsuits, he'd seen child abuse cases. The signs were unmistakable. Dr. Daniel Ruiz, the attending pediatrician, approached with a grave expression, tall and lean, with graying hair and kind eyes that couldn't mask his concern. "Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, Dr. Ruiz, your son is stable now, but we need to talk." Alex stood, his negotiation instincts kicking in. "How bad?" Dr. Ruiz's face darkened as he checked his chart. The child stopped breathing. The facial injuries indicate manual pressure on the nose and mouth. This matches intentional suffocation. The words hit Alex like a blow. "Someone tried to kill my son." The bruising pattern, the petechial hemorrhages in his eyes. "Mr. Thompson, where was your son when this occurred?" Emily gasped. "You think we hurt our own baby?" Alex's mind raced. "He was with his grandmother, my wife's mother, Margaret Hayes, a retired teacher." Dr. Ruiz noted it down. "We'll contact Child Protective Services. This is mandatory reporting." "No way." Alex's voice turned dangerously low. "My son was harmed and you're treating us like suspects." "Mr. Thompson, I get your anger, but someone deliberately hurt your infant. We need to figure out who and why." While waiting for the CPS worker, Alex studied his wife. Emily was truly distraught, but there was more. Fear beyond concern for Noah. She kept checking her phone, texting someone. "Who are you texting?" Alex asked. "Just updating Mom. She's blaming herself." But Alex glimpsed the contact, Ryan Patel. Alex knew the name but couldn't place it immediately amid the emotion, like a risky investment suddenly surfacing. Ethan arrived with Margaret Hayes, who looked worn and defensive. The elderly teacher's experience showed as she immediately asked about Noah's condition, but Alex noted she avoided eye contact. "Mrs. Hayes." Alex's tone was the one he used to pressure negotiation opponents. "Tell me exactly what happened today." Margaret smoothed her gray hair in its tight bun. "Noah was fussy when Emily dropped him off. I fed him, changed his clothes, and put him down for a nap. When I checked an hour later, he was fine. The next time, he wasn't breathing right." "You didn't notice the bruising?" "It wasn't there when I laid him down," Margaret insisted, but her voice wavered. Alex's gut screamed she was hiding something. But why would a grandmother harm her grandchild? The CPS worker, Sarah Klein, arrived, a weary woman in her 40s who'd seen too much cruelty. After separate interviews, she decided. "The child stays in hospital for observation. Upon discharge, he can go home, but we'll do regular check-ins. Mrs. Hayes, no unsupervised contact with the minors until the investigation ends." As they left the hospital that night, Noah sleeping soundly in his car seat, Alex felt his world's foundation shifting. Someone had tried to harm his son. But who and why? Ethan, unusually quiet, spoke from the back. "Dad, I saw Grandma Margaret arguing with a man today before you got home. They looked upset." Alex met his son's eyes in the rear view. "What man, buddy?" "I don't know his name, but he comes to our house sometimes when you're at work." Emily stiffened beside him. "Ethan, you're mistaken, sweetie." But Alex saw the truth on her face, and suddenly he recalled where he'd heard Ryan Patel. The revelation struck Alex like a punch to the chest. Ryan Patel. He'd assisted him 3 years ago in a complicated asset division, a charismatic programmer with a reputation for seducing married women. Alex had secured him a favorable deal, but Ryan vanished without paying the final fee. Now he was back, and based on Ethan's innocent remark and Emily's panic, he was involved with Alex's wife. Alex said nothing on the drive home, his mind operating like a precision machine. In negotiations, he never tipped his hand until the moment of maximum impact. This would be no different. That night, after Emily fell asleep clutching Noah, Alex slipped into his home office and started making calls. First to Mike Larson, his investigator. "Mike, dig deep on a guy. Ryan Patel, programmer, around 32. I want everything. Where he lives, works, who he sees, even his daily habits, and I need it fast." Related to Henderson. No personal. Second call to Tom Riley, former partner, now running a security service. "Tom, I need surveillance on my house. Every entry point. Someone's sneaking in when I'm away." "Alex, you sure monitoring your own home? Trust me. And Tom, whatever you find, document it. Court admissible quality." Third call to Dr. Victor Lang, a forensic pediatric expert he'd worked with on medical cases. "Victor." Hypothetically, if someone wanted to harm a baby without obvious traces, how? God, Alex, why ask? Just answer. The sneakiest way is blocking breathing. Pinch the nose, cover the mouth. Done carefully, it could mimic SIDS or natural causes, but signs remain. Petechial bleeding, faint bruising. Alex's blood chilled. If the person had educational knowledge, a teacher. You mean they'd know the exact force duration they could bring a child to the brink, then revive? Why do that? To warn or eliminate an issue. After hanging up, Alex sat in the dark room, feeling like he was analyzing a major financial collapse. The horrifying pieces fit. Noah's near death wasn't random, it was a threat. But for what? He pulled up Noah's birth certificate on his computer, scrutinizing the dates. Noah was born exactly 9 months after Alex's week-long San Francisco trip for the Klein case, the week Emily claimed illness and stayed behind. Alex's hands shook as he calculated the conception window. If Emily had cheated, his phone buzzed with Mike's text. Found him. Ryan Patel, living in Brooklyn. Interesting, he's doing software work for Margaret Hayes, a home system upgrade project started last year. Last year, right when Emily's behavior changed. Alex spent the rest of the night building a timeline. Emily's sudden interest in frequent mom visits, her new yoga schedule keeping her out for hours, her avoidance of intimacy, blaming pregnancy fatigue. By dawn, Alex had a theory that turned his stomach. Emily was having an affair with Ryan Patel. Margaret was aiding by providing a meeting spot, and Noah? Alex rechecked the birth certificate, focusing on a detail he'd never questioned. Noah's blood type AB negative. Alex was A positive. Emily was O positive. Genetically impossible. Noah wasn't his. The truth should have crushed him. Instead, Alex felt a cold fury rising like in his fiercest negotiations. He'd been deceived by the two people he trusted most, his wife and mother-in-law, but they'd made a fatal mistake. They'd tried to harm Ethan's little brother. Alex Thompson built his reputation on one basic rule: no mercy for those who challenge you. Now it was time to show Emily and Ryan Patel what that truly meant. He called Mike again. Expand the investigation. I want my wife's activities for the past year, card transactions, call logs, locations, and DNA testing on Noah, but discreet. Alex, you sure you want to go this deep? Alex's voice was ice. Mike, someone tried to kill a baby to cover an affair. I'm not just pursuing this path. I'll turn it into their graveyard. As Emily woke and started her day chatting about Noah's health and plans, Alex played the devoted husband and father, but inside he'd already mapped their destruction. He'd give them enough rope to hang themselves, then pull the lever. 3 weeks passed before Alex made his first move. In that time, he'd become obsessed, documenting every facet of his wife's betrayal with the meticulousness that made him lethal in business. Mike Larson's investigation painted a damning picture. Emily's card showed regular charges at boutique hotels in Brooklyn, always during Alex's business trips. Phone records revealed hundreds of calls and texts to Ryan Patel, many late at night. Footage from Tom Riley's team was worse. Ryan Patel visited the Thompson home at least twice weekly for 6 months during Alex's work hours. Stays averaged 2 to 3 hours. But the most crushing evidence came from Dr. Lang's discreet DNA test. Noah wasn't just not Alex's biologically. Markers confirmed Ryan Patel as the father. Alex sat in his office reviewing the paternity results with the calm analysis of any deal, though his heart tightened like watching a market crash in real time. The deception should have broken him, but it only hardened his resolve. Emily and Ryan hadn't just ruined his marriage, they'd created a scenario that nearly killed an innocent child. The intercom buzzed. Mr. Thompson, your 2 p.m. is here. Alex expected this meeting. Carl Finley, a family law attorney and old college friend, entered looking worried. Alex heard about Noah. How's he? He's okay now. Alex replied, motioning Carl to sit. But I need advice on a hypothetical. Carl raised an eyebrow. Alex rarely used hypotheticals. Suppose a man discovers his wife's affair. The child she claims is his is actually her lover's. First question: is he on the birth certificate? If yes, he retains parental rights regardless of biology. In New York, he could contest paternity. But if the wife and accomplices endangered the child to hide it, Carl's expression turned grave. That changes everything. Proving child endangerment or intent to harm makes it criminal. Alex, is this really hypothetical? Alex met his friend's eyes. What would you do, Carl, if betrayed like that? I'd want to crush them, Carl admitted. But legally, you're too smart to risk your career on vengeance. Alex nodded thoughtfully. What's the worst outcome for someone in a custody fight? Total loss of parental rights. If the court finds endangerment evidence, the offending parent loses custody and visitation. They become legal strangers to their kids. That evening, Alex attended his first family dinner since the discovery. Emily had made his favorite honey-glazed chicken BBQ style and chattered excitedly about redecorating the nursery. I'm thinking softer tones, she said, feeding Noah. Maybe soft beige instead of blue. Alex watched her hold the child she'd claimed as his, noting Noah's features sharpening. The baby had Ryan's square jaw and deep-set eyes. Ethan, meanwhile, assembled a complex robot on the kitchen counter, fully engrossed. Ethan, Alex said casually, tell me more about that man you saw arguing with Grandma Margaret. Emily's fork clattered. Alex, we've discussed this. But Ethan looked up eagerly. He's tall like you, Dad, but lighter hair and drives a silver car with a rear scratch. Alex filed the description. Mike's surveillance confirmed Ryan owned a silver Audi with tail damage from parking. Did you hear what they said? Kind of. Grandma Margaret sounded mad. She said, this has gone too far and it could kill someone. The room fell silent. Emily paled and Alex could almost hear her heart pounding. Ethan, sweetie, take your robot upstairs. Emily's voice strained. After Ethan left, Alex leaned back. Interesting chat they had. Alex, you're being paranoid. Ethan's only 6. He imagines things. Maybe, but kids often catch what adults miss. Alex's voice carried his experience assessing partner credibility. They have less reason to lie. That night, as Emily slept fitfully beside him, Alex reviewed the final investigation piece. Mike found Margaret Hayes' upgrade wasn't simple. Ryan had lived in her basement for 8 months, using the project as cover. The basement was a studio with a separate entrance, perfect for a secret affair. Alex's phone vibrated with Mike's text. Got your timeline. Emily visited her mom's 47 times last year. Ryan's car there for 34, average 3.2 hours. Alex replied, overlap with my trips. Everyone like clockwork. Alex set down his phone and looked at his sleeping wife. Emily had orchestrated the deception for months, using her mother as an accomplice. The betrayal was staggering, but they'd erred fatally in their planning. They'd underestimated Alex's patience and strategy. Alex's chance came when Emily announced needing the weekend to help her mom with an electrical emergency. It was a Friday afternoon in late October 2024, and Alex feigned disappointment over missing their family picnic. Sure you can't call a pro electrician? Alex asked, noting Emily avoiding his eyes. Mom's on a budget, you know that, probably minor. Alex nodded sympathetically. I'll stay with the boys then. Ethan's excited for the park. Emily didn't know Alex had set up Tom Riley's team for intense weekend surveillance. Every entry to Margaret's house monitored, every visitor logged. Alex also positioned Mike at Ryan Patel's Brooklyn address ready to tail him. Saturday morning arrived gray and drizzly, ideal for Alex's plans. After Emily left, Alex called his sister-in-law, Laura Kensington, in the suburbs. Laura, can you take Ethan and Noah today? Sudden work thing. Laura, who adored her nephews, agreed happily. Alex wanted the kids far from the unfolding drama. With the boys safe, Alex parked 3 blocks from Margaret's, watching Tom's surveillance feed on his tablet. Cutting-edge tech. Sharp cameras with audio disguised as standard security. At 11:23 a.m., Ryan Patel's silver Audi pulled into Margaret's driveway. At 11:31 a.m., Emily's car arrived. Alex viewed the live feed with a predator's detachment. His wife parked next to her lover's car without concern. The front door camera captured their reunion. Emily throwing herself into Ryan's arms, their kiss passionate and desperate. Alex felt nothing like a hunter watching his 7-year wife embrace another man, emotions burned out, replaced by cold calculation. Over the next 2 hours, Alex documented the affair from multiple angles. The basement studio Mike discovered was their main spot, accessed via separate entry. But Alex wasn't just gathering infidelity proof. He awaited the conversation he knew was coming, discussing their future and handling the problem of Alex and Ethan. Audio picked up their voices around 2:00 p.m. as they emerged for lunch. We can't keep this up, Emily's voice tense. Alex is suspicious. The questions about Ethan's observations, how he looks at me. Your mom handled the Noah situation, Ryan replied. Maybe time for something more permanent. Alex's blood froze. What did more permanent mean? Margaret Hayes entered the frame in casual clothes, suggesting she'd just returned from a volunteer class. The kid incident was supposed to look accidental, Margaret said, her voice accustomed to classroom crises. But Alex is too smart. He's probably figured Noah isn't his. Ryan ran a hand through his hair. So what do we do? We can't walk away. Noah is my son and Ethan isn't, Emily said with chilling coldness. I never wanted him anyway. He was Alex's idea from the start. Alex's hands clenched the tablet, his wife discussing their 6-year-old like disposable baggage. If something happened to Alex, Ryan said carefully, what would that mean for us? Margaret snapped her head up. What are you implying? Nothing specific, just that Alex's work makes enemies. Finance creates rivals. You're talking murder, Margaret stated bluntly. I'm talking freedom, Ryan countered. For all of us. Alex had heard enough. He now had HD recorded evidence of murder conspiracy with perfect audio, but more, he grasped the full betrayal. They weren't just cheating. They planned to erase him and Ethan, building a new family with just Emily, Ryan, and Noah. Noah's suffocation attempt wasn't to hide the affair. It was a test run, seeing if they could make death look natural. Alex drove home in a rage so cold it felt like ice in his veins. He'd negotiated with villains more humane than his own wife. That evening, when Emily returned citing exhaustion from her mom's electrical fix, Alex was prepared. How's your mom? He asked, helping with her coat. Oh, you know how she exaggerates. The electrician sorted it quick. Alex nodded. What was the issue? Emily hesitated. Something with the wiring. I don't get it. Of course, Alex agreed. At least you relaxed there. A bit. Mom made salad and we gossiped about neighbors. Every word a lie, delivered with the confidence of someone who'd deceived him for months. That night, as Emily slept beside him, Alex finalized his counterstrike. Monday, he'd file for emergency custody of both boys. Tuesday, present the conspiracy evidence to the DA, but his revenge wouldn't stop at the legal system. Alex had learned true justice needed a personal touch. Emily, Ryan, and Margaret had declared war on his family. Now, they'd learn what warring with Alex Thompson entailed. Monday morning brought the first fall rain of 2024, coating New York in a slick layer soon dirtied by street grime. Alex found the metaphor fitting as he prepared to ruin 3 irredeemable lives. First stop, District Attorney Karen Whitaker's office, a former colleague who'd shifted from finance to prosecution. Alex leveraged connections for an urgent meeting. Alex, you look exhausted, Karen noted as he entered. When did you last sleep? Sleep's a luxury, Alex replied, placing a thick folder on her desk. I'm reporting a murder conspiracy. Karen's brows shot up. What? My wife, her lover, and her mother plotted to kill me and possibly my 6-year-old. They've already tried harming my infant. Alex's tone was matter-of-fact, like discussing weather. For the next hour, Alex systematically presented evidence DNA proving Noah wasn't his affair. Surveillance recorded talks of his murder. Karen reviewed with growing horror. Jesus, Alex, this is insane. Your own wife, ex-wife, filed for emergency divorce and custody this morning. What do you need? Arrest warrants, conspiracy to murder, child endangerment, attempted infanticide. Karen leaned back. The infanticide is tough to prove. Your mother-in-law might claim she was helping the baby breathe. Margaret Hayes is a veteran teacher with child experience. She knows how to harm without obvious signs. The medical exam matches deliberate suffocation, and the conspiracy, you have them on tape plotting my death. Karen nodded grimly. I'll get the warrants, but Alex, brace for mess. Your private life goes public. Alex's smile was predatory. Let it. I'm clean. Next stop, family court, where Judge Elena Vargas reviewed his emergency custody petition. Alex chose Vargas for her child protection reputation. Mr. Thompson, Judge Vargas began. Serious claims. You say your wife and her mother threatened your infant son. Your Honor, medical evidence shows someone deliberately suffocated my 3-month-old. Only my wife and her mother had access. Combined with ongoing affair proof and recordings of them discussing removing me as an obstacle, I believe both children are in immediate danger. The judge examined medical reports and audio transcripts with evident disgust. Mr. Thompson granting temporary emergency custody of both children. Your wife gets supervised visitation only pending criminal investigation. Alex felt his first real satisfaction in weeks. Ethan and Noah were safe. His phone buzzed with Mike's text. Arrests happening now, all three in custody. The trap sprung perfectly. That afternoon, Alex picked Ethan up from school himself for the first time in months. His son's face lit up seeing Dad in the pickup line. "Dad, you're early." Alex knelt to Ethan's level. "We need a serious talk, buddy." They went to Ethan's favorite ice cream shop where Alex carefully explained Mom had made bad choices and would be away a while. "Is it because of the man who visits when you're at work?" Ethan asked astutely. Alex's heart clenched. "You knew." "I'm not dumb, Dad. Mom acted different when he came. She was happier, but not like with you." "You okay with just us for a bit?" Ethan pondered. "What about baby Noah?" "Noah stays with us too." "Good. I promise to protect him." That evening, Alex sat in his home office feeding Noah while Ethan did homework at the small desk he'd set up. The house felt lighter without Emily, like a burden lifted. The evening news led with the story, "Finance exec's wife arrested in murder plot." The reporter outside the county jail detailed charges against Emily Thompson, Ryan Patel, and Margaret Hayes. Alex turned it off before Ethan saw. His phone rang. Mike Larson. "Alex, Ryan Patel's trying a deal. Claims it was all Emily's idea, he was manipulated." Alex laughed coldly. "Of course. What's he offering?" "Full cooperation for reduced charges. He has info on other men Emily involved." Alex's blood chilled. Other men. Apparently Emily's been busy. Ryan says she's run similar schemes for years, targeting successful men getting pregnant, manipulating for max financial gain. Alex closed his eyes. He'd been conned from the start, their whole marriage a scam. "More," Mike continued. "Margaret Hayes claims she was protecting the baby, not harming. Says Emily asked for something to make Noah sleep forever. She's turning on her daughter. Survival instinct when facing murder charges. Margaret's 83. She doesn't want to die in prison." Alex thanked Mike and hung his mind racing. If Emily had conned other men, there might be more victims, more children with questioned paternity. But those were tomorrow's issues. Now Alex had 2 sons to shield and a family to rebuild. As he tucked Ethan in that night, his son asked, "Dad, are you sad about Mom?" Alex considered. "I'm sad about her choices, but I'm not sad. It's just us now." "Me too," Ethan admitted. "She was weird after Noah. Scary weird." Alex kissed his forehead. "You don't have to worry anymore. I promise." 6 months later, Manhattan County Courthouse buzzed with media as Emily Thompson's trial began. Alex sat in the gallery watching his ex-wife enter in an orange jumpsuit, her once polished look now haggard from months in jail. Prosecution led by ADA Marcus Lopez built a rock-solid case. Evidence overwhelming Noah's paternity, DNA affair footage, murder discussion recordings, medical testimony on the suffocation attempt. But Emily's lawyer, Derek Novak, mounted a desperate defense claiming Emily was manipulated by Ryan Patel and her mother. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury," Novak opened, "my client isn't a criminal. She's a woman systematically controlled by a domineering mother and exploitative lover. Emily Thompson never meant harm." Alex watched detached. Novak was good but fighting a losing battle. Prosecution's first witness was Dr. Daniel Ruiz, testifying on Noah's injuries and clear suffocation signs. "In 30 years of pediatrics," Dr. Ruiz stated, "I've never seen accidental injuries match this pattern. Someone intentionally stopped this infant's breathing." Next, Mike Larson guided the jury through surveillance evidence. A fair timeline, secret meetings at Margaret's coordination among the 3. But the most damaging came from Margaret Hayes herself, who took a plea deal to testify against her daughter and Ryan Patel. "Emily came with a scheme," Margaret testified, voice barely audible. "She said Alex suspected Noah's paternity. She wanted me to make it look like the baby died naturally." The courtroom gasped. Even Alex, thinking he'd heard the worst, felt nauseous. "You agreed to harm your grandson?" Ada Lopez asked. "I thought she meant sleep aid, but seeing her real intent—" Margaret sobbed. "I couldn't. I tried scaring her by pretending I'd gone too far, hoping she'd drop it." The revelation stunned. Margaret hadn't tried killing Noah. She'd attempted to save him by showing Emily the plan's horrors. But the explosive moment came when Ryan Patel testified. Under questioning by Alex's hired lawyer, Sophia Grant, representing custody interests, Ryan exposed Emily's full deceit. "She told me she'd done this before," Ryan said, sweating. "In Texas, pre-Alex, she'd target rich men, get pregnant stage scenarios for custody and support." "How many?" Sophia pressed. "At least 2, I know." She showed photos of other kids she claimed as hers. Alex's world tilted. Emily might have more children out there, more victimized men. The defense collapsed under evidence weight. Emily testified, claiming coercion and manipulation, but crumbled under cross. Mrs. Thompson, ADA Lopez said, "You claim fear of Mr. Patel, yet records show you initiated over 60% of contacts." I was confused, thought I loved him. "Confused enough to discuss killing your husband. That was Ryan's idea." "But you didn't report to police, did you? You joined planning sessions on our surveillance." Emily had no response. The jury deliberated under 4 hours, guilty on all counts. The sentencing 3 weeks later was a showcase of judicial outrage. Judge Vargas was clearly shaken by trial evidence. "Mrs. Thompson," the judge began. "I've handled thousands of cases in 20 years. I've seen murder, assault, child abuse, and every human evil, but none has disgusted me more than yours." Emily stood at the defense table, her lawyer beside, knowing mercy pleas were futile. "You conspired to kill your children's father, a man who loved and provided for you. You dragged your mother into plotting to harm an innocent infant. You shattered every trust bond holding families together." Alex watched from the gallery, Ethan at his side. His son had requested to attend sentencing, wanting to understand why Mom was gone forever. "Furthermore," Judge Vargas continued, "evidence suggests this wasn't isolated but a pattern of predatory behavior across states and victims. Investigations uncovered Emily's prior schemes. 2 Texas men came forward with similar stories to Alex's. Both had children they thought theirs, both targeted for wealth and status. Mrs. Thompson, I sentence you to 25 years in New York Department of Corrections for murder conspiracy, 10 years for attempted infanticide, and 5 years for child endangerment. Sentences consecutive, parole eligible in 30 years. Emily collapsed at the table, realizing her life was over. Ryan Patel got 15 years for conspiracy. Margaret Hayes, considering age and cooperation, received 5 years with possible supervised release in 2. As Emily was led away in shackles, she turned to Alex one last time, her eyes teary, perhaps regretful. Alex felt nothing. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed Alex and Ethan, shouting questions. Alex had a brief statement. "Justice prevailed today. My family can heal, thanks to the prosecution medical pros who saved my son, and especially my son Ethan, whose honesty and bravery uncovered the truth." A reporter shouted, "Mr. Thompson, do you plan custody of Noah knowing he's not biological?" Alex's reply was firm. "Noah's my son in every way that counts. Ethan and I love him and will raise him as family." Ethan squeezed his dad's hand, and Alex knew he'd chosen right. 2 years later, in 2026, Alex Thompson stood in his new Brooklyn backyard, watching Ethan push Noah on the swings. The home was smaller than before, but felt vastly larger, free from deception's shadows. Ethan now played in Little League Baseball, a classic American extracurricular building his confidence. Noah, now 2.5, resembled Ryan Patel more daily, but Alex didn't care about genetics. The boy called him Dad and reached for him when scared or hurt. That sufficed. Ethan, 8, now had grown into a protective big brother, wiser than most adults. He never asked to visit Mom, never mentioned missing her. Sometimes Alex worried about psychological scars, but Ethan seemed genuinely happier without Emily's volatility. "Dad, watch this," Ethan called, teaching Noah a rhythmic hand clap game on the swings. Alex clapped his phone, buzzing with Mike's text. "Emily's parole denied. Earliest release 2054. Alex deleted it without reply. Emily was history. His firm had taken publicity hits, but Alex rebuilt stronger, his ruthless reputation now legendary. Clients knew he'd fight for them with the dedication he'd shown his family. The doorbell rang, snapping his thoughts. Alex answered to a package for Ethan. Inside, a robot assembly kit from Tom Riley, now an honorary uncle to the boys. "What is it?" Ethan asked, appearing at Alex's side. "Gift from Uncle Tom. Build it this weekend." Ethan's face brightened. "Can Noah join?" "If he doesn't swallow small parts." They spent the evening on the living room floor. Ethan carefully read instructions while Noah helped by gleefully tearing packaging. It was chaos, but their chaos. At bedtime, as Alex tucked Noah into his crib, he still preferred it over a big bed. He noticed Noah studying his face seriously. "Love, Dad," Noah said with surprising clarity. Alex's throat tightened. "Dad loves you too, buddy." In Ethan's room, his older son was under covers reading a robotics book meant for older kids. "Dad," Ethan said as Alex switched off the light, "do you think Mom will ever come back?" It was Ethan's first direct question. Alex sat on the bed edge, choosing words carefully. "No, Ethan. She made choices that hurt people, and now she faces the consequences. It's just us now." Ethan nodded thoughtfully. "Good. I like it better this way." Alex kissed his forehead. "Me too." Later, Alex sat in his home office reviewing tomorrow's files. The house was quiet save for sleeping children's soft sounds and distant city hum. His computer pinged an email from one of Emily's prior victims in Texas tech entrepreneur Ray Donovan, who'd followed the trial. Ray had recently won custody of his daughter after proving she wasn't biologically his, but choosing to raise her anyway. "Thanks for the courage to expose her," Ray wrote. "My daughter Lily is thriving without her mother's influence. Sometimes the family we choose is stronger than blood." Alex saved the email in Ethan's folder, a collection of documents for his son to read when older. Ethan deserved the full truth about what happened and why Alex fought so hard. As he prepared for bed, Alex caught his reflection in the bathroom mirror. The man staring back was tougher than 2 years ago, marked by betrayal and battle. But he was also at peace like never during his marriage. He'd learned mercy was unaffordable when protecting his children. Emily, Ryan, and Margaret had challenged his family, and he'd responded with full business acumen and resources. The victory was total and devastating. Emily would spend 30 years in prison. Ryan's programming license revoked, unemployable in his field. Margaret died in prison 6 months into her sentence, broken by her choices. Some might call Alex's response extreme, but he slept soundly, knowing Ethan and Noah were safe. Tomorrow, he'd wake to children's laughter, make breakfast for his sons, drop Ethan at school before heading to the office to fight for others' families. It wasn't the life he'd planned, but the one he'd chosen. And for the first time in years, Alex Thompson was right where he belonged. Lesson from the story. Trust in family is the foundation. But when betrayed, true strength lies in protecting loved ones by all legal and steadfast means. Message. Never underestimate the power of truth and justice. They can save and recreate life, reminding us that true family is those we choose and protect.